What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Hall of Game. And this typically is ran by me and the brother Gabe A. But we did our show yesterday. But as a brother that has really been always supportive, active in the chat and the content. And he's a very, very talented brother, as you'll find out. And I wanted to do a second episode talking about his own personal life and story. Now, again, it's another African American man that doesn't have to come and share anything about his life, but to be a blessing and a benefit to Black men out there in the United States. We wanted to give brother some tips on his personal journey, how he went from making $13 an hour to over $100,000 a year. And many of you brothers may know him. His name is Brent Turner. And he's going to go ahead and share some things that you see. He got his pen and paper ready, so he ain't playing. So go ahead, brother. Thank you for coming on, brother. I really appreciate you for coming on. Thank you so much, family.
Oh, yeah, man. Absolutely. Absolutely. I watch a lot of your shows, man. And a lot of times you'll see me in the comment section and making comments on a lot of the commentary. The Hall of Game is actually my favorite shows that you do. Every now and then I'll listen to some of the fuckery, but for the most part, for the most part, man, the Hall of Game with Gabe A, and I know every now and then you'll have Brother Sub-Zero on there. Those are my favorite shows to tune into. I actually listen to them in the background while I'm doing other stuff a lot of times. So I appreciate you actually making this platform, man, and allowing brothers to actually link up and kind of share some of this good game, man.
All right. Thank you so much, brother G-Star, my Zimbabwean brother out of the Australian area. Shout out to everybody in the building. Brother Turner, tell us a little bit just in general about yourself, your background and stuff like that.
Yeah, so originally from Dallas, here in Dallas now, from the projects, right, in the height of the crack era, 80s and 90s, grew up in that kind of environment. And at some point we ended up moving out in that environment and moved to another side of town. But from Dallas, from the hood, a certain part of my life you could consider I had Pookie and Ray Ray tendencies, right? But was always a curious kid and was always a kind of quiet kid. Eventually what happened, I kind of fell into the same pattern that a lot of brothers fall into as far as having children young, really not knowing what to do, kind of looking at my situation and like, damn, I have kids now. I'm not earning enough. What the hell am I supposed to do now, right? Then as I kind of put myself in that situation, I had to really take a look in the mirror and said, hey, all of this shit is your fault. You can't blame it on nobody else. It's your fault. You skeeted in it. Now what you gonna do? You get yourself out of it. And what I learned was I figured out what I enjoy doing, which was using my hands, right? Working on stuff, kind of making something out of another, taking ideas in my head and being able to turn them into something I could physically hold. And that God-given aptitude or God-given skill set ended up landing itself into me going to a small trade school for automotive. I think it was like 2 years. I did that, and that ended up, I would say maybe 5 years later, allowing me to transition into a role that allowed me to get into manufacturing. And it's been a wrap from there. I've been running ever since.
Okay, and thank you, brother Keeper Take. He's also a brother that's in Linux. You've probably seen him before. He's very active on these kind of shows too. Yes, let me just talk about the crossroads, because a lot of brothers, even myself, I've been in a situation where I get myself in a situation and I'm like, damn, how did I get here?
Yep.
And where do I go from here? Why did you choose? You went to a trade school, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so why did you choose this particular school in this particular field? How did you get the knowledge to know, like, this is a good way for me to go?
Yeah, so funny thing is, if you think about it, when I spoke with you earlier, I told you I was out in the garage in the shop working on my car.
Right.
I always had a love for cars, and that's what made me go to this school.
Okay.
This school, small school, ATI, that's the name of it. One of these debunked, no college credits. You kind of go just to try to get some kind of trade to get out of dead end jobs. But that's what initially made me go to that school, was to get certified as an automotive service technician to allow me to be able to earn more and take care of my family, because I was making like $12 at the time.
Okay. So your love for cars is what pushed you there. Okay.
Yep.
Now, when you decided to go there, how was the coursework? Did you find it rigorous? Did you find, and were you also still working at the same time you were going here? Were you still working and going to school?
Oh yeah. So I would work during the day. So I would get to work about 6 a.m. and then I would work until about 4 in the evening. And then I would get to school at 5 and go to school from about 5 to 11 at night. And I did that for a couple of years. I would say 2.5 years, until I finished up with the school and got the certification and stuff. But the work wasn't rigorous because it was something that I was interested in. Mm-hmm. I already had a knack for fixing stuff, right? I mean, from being a kid and taking AA batteries and hooking them up to Christmas lights, and getting a remote control car for Christmas and taking it apart just so I can get to the motors and hook it up to a battery and watch it turn. I'm talking about from being a young kid. Mm-hmm. That bug never left. You know what I mean? And it was my understanding was like, and I actually thought to myself, I said, man, if there's anything I could do that will help me earn more, what would it be? What do I like doing? And I said, well, I like cars. I like, at the time, it's 22s and 24s, stuff like that had just came out. So I was like, man, I could still be in the culture, right? I could still be in the culture, still be able to interact with people who come from the environment that I do, but be a business owner and be able to do that. So that's what made me pull the trigger on going to that school. Okay.
Let's talk about this though, because you make it sound a lot of easy, right? It's like, yeah, I got to work at 6 in the morning, and then I finish about 4. Then I go to school at 5 to 11. I did that for 2 years and 2.5 and 3 years. Yeah. And I had a similar experience to that. And I mean, people, while you make it sound easy, I know that it's not.
No, not at all.
How was it doing that? Because I know you obviously probably had, I don't know if you're married, but obviously you had a family and stuff like that, and things you had to do. How did you get through that limited time space and with the other responsibilities and stuff like that? How was that? Because a lot of brothers might need to make that kind of decision and be on the grind for that kind of that long.
Yeah, man, it's one of those things where, and you'll hear me say it often, I had to figure out something that I liked doing, right? So while I was in school, I enjoyed it. I was learning things that I didn't know. I was learning the proper terminology for certain systems and certain things that we were working with. I was learning to use tools that I had never used before. I was learning any kind of questions that I had, I could ask, and I had SMEs or subject matter experts that could answer these questions. So I didn't necessarily look at how long I had to go. I was just glad to be able to get into it and actually, start learning. So that's why it's super important. It's super important for brothers to figure out what they like doing, and then you're able to make that commitment. Now, if you're a person who don't like doing shit, I don't know what to tell you, but if you have something that you like doing, whether it's, I'll give you another quick example. So I used to, just like a lot of brothers, I used to want to rap, right? I was like, man, I'm a rap. And so didn't have the money to press up CDs, didn't have the money to hire somebody to do the graphics on it. So got a hacked version of Adobe Photoshop and start using that. Man, I tell you, I would say maybe all of these years later, since I was making these album covers for my homeboys and in my room and in my first apartment, all of these years later, Photoshop, I still use Photoshop in my day-to-day job right now. Right, I'll take a blueprint, convert it into a PDF file, put it into Photoshop, and I'm able to erase a lot of the noise that's in that blueprint. You know what I mean? It may be part numbers for different things, or it may be certain stuff that has to be taken out of the machine when we do a certain package size changeover, and I can highlight that stuff in Photoshop and save it with just the most pertinent information on it. And being able to do that started all these years ago when I was a teenager, man, making CD covers. So that's why it's super important to figure out what is it that you like doing, and then figure out how to monetize it, so that it's not a laboring task when you are as you working your way up the ladder.
Right. No, that's good information there. Shout out to Brother Mickey James for the $2 super chat, and that's very interesting. You still took that skill set, probably not even knowing you're going to be able to use it, but still using it anyway. Let me go back to this. I noticed you said something important. I don't know if the guys caught it. You said when you enrolled in the school, you didn't necessarily look at how long it was going to take you to finish, long as you finished.
Yep.
How did you develop that mindset? Because a lot of brothers, they got a certain time limit on this. I need to do this by this time. But you didn't take that approach. You were patient with it. How did you know that? How did you come to that approach in trying to be successful and complete the task?
So I'll be honest. So that part comes from like a lot of brothers like myself, like yourself, right? You come from environments where sometimes you have to do stuff that you don't want to do, right? Mm-hmm. That grit, that not giving up, that sometimes it manifests itself in the form of anger, right? So if you think about it, I want to say it comes from the same place. I figured out what I like doing and looked myself in the mirror and said, whatever is going to happen, it's going to be because of you. You're either going to get your ass up every day and you're going to go to this school and you're going to take it serious and you are going to finish it. And this is me thinking to myself, you're going to get your ass up, you're going to go to school, you're going to finish it, and you're going to get this certification so that you can change your life. Or you can sit here and fool yourself and think that somebody is coming to save you. Or you can sit here and fool yourself and think that, something else is just waiting around the corner for you and you ain't got to do shit for it. So it was really just a self-check, which is why it was important to figure out what I like doing. I couldn't go to school to be an accountant. That's not what I like. I had to commit to something that I enjoyed and then have a real good self-check and say, all right, get your ass up, do it, and finish it.
Okay. And that's important, that the fact that you knew that much about yourself. A lot of brothers don't even know this about themselves. So shout out to Brother Earl Owens for the super chat. Brother Gabe is in the building. Let me ask you this. After the completion of the program, were there a lot of job offers for you to start off, or?
Yeah, so as I came out of the program, we actually had these what's going on, Brother Gabe? We actually had these kind of like job fairs, right? And all of these places were coming in and they were really looking for entry level guys to do oil changes. Like you talk about your Midas, your Jiffy Lubes, and they were paying like, $12, $13 too. I was like, man, I'm making that now. Why would I jump out of a place where I'm stable, a place where I have all these benefits, a place where I've already built relationships, to go and do something that I may love, but I may be doing it at a place that I don't necessarily like, or a place that's not within my vicinity. I mean, my job, my school, and my apartment at the time were all within a mile of each other.
Okay.
And I didn't want to go halfway across town to do oil changes and making the same, but I'm driving further, right? So that was I actually, as I finished the school, I stayed working where I was at, and the whole time brothers were just throwing darts, man. They would laugh and it didn't work, all that kind of stuff. So I just kept my head down and kept it pushing, man.
Let me shout out to Clay Bray. Said, did you ever make an album cover for Shaquille O'Neal? Everybody keeps saying you look like Shaq a little bit.
Man, I ran into I never made Shaq album cover, but I ran into a little bitty, probably like a not even 5-foot Asian lady in Houston in an elevator a couple of years back. And she kept saying Shaki Oni. I ain't know what the hell she was talking about. and finally, she kind of did her hands like basketball. I said, "Oh, Shaquille O'Neal." She said, "Yeah, you look like." I said, "Oh shit." Even she think I look like Shaq. But yeah, I hear that a lot, man. And
I hear that sometimes too.
Yeah, and it don't help that I'm 6'3". So a lot of people think.
Oh my goodness. Let me kind of get back to an important part. Like you finished it, and then all of a sudden you're like, damn, I done went through this for a couple of years. I done got up early.
Yep.
And now the entry level is the same as what I'm making right now. And then people are talking about me that I know.
Yep.
How did you persevere that?
Man, so I would, you know how right now being woke is the thing, right? Everybody is woke. Everybody is woke. But I can say that I've been woke to a certain extent ever since I was about 13, 14 years old. Mm-hmm. And I think it was Brother Malcolm that said it. I ran into some information, I would say maybe a couple of years before, you know, I was going through this, where brothers was laughing and they were talking about, you know, I didn't work, he still work here, kind of whispering and gossiping. And one of the things that I learned was it talked about in the process of trying to be woke, or in the process of trying to love our people, you got to be careful, because you're going to see some things that'll make you end up hating our people. So I understood that they were lost, man. They didn't understand my plan. And so it didn't affect me. It didn't affect me that much. In my mind, I was just like, man, they lost. They don't get it. But they'll see, though. And goddamn it, now, you know, they can see.
Okay. Again, shout out to Brother G Star. Thank you, brother, again for the donation. Now, you Negroes in here, don't forget to like the video as you guys are here, and you know, in support by liking the video and stuff. Don't let just G Star be the only person participating in the chat. Y'all like the video also. Now let me. So, what job did you actually take after that point?
Yeah. So, oddly enough, I worked at this place for probably about another year and a half, I would say. And then I end up transitioning to where I work now.
Okay. Now, what was now, because again, you were already making $12 in a different company. Yep. When you left this job, do you mind sharing how much you were making at the new job?
$13.
Okay. So you making 12 and you left to make 13.
Yep.
How did now? Were you? Was it close to where you were living, or far from your house, or?
It was actually further. You know what? I take that back. I had one other job in between this, so I left the 12 and some change dollar job, and I went to this other job where I was making $13 an hour with no benefits, but I was driving, right? I was driving, and I had actually had a CDL. I got a Class B CDL. Right as soon as I turned 21, my father worked for the county schools, the school system in our city. And he said, hey, man, you need to get your CDL. And I did that through the county. And I always had that on my license this whole time I was going through this stuff. But being a Pookie and a Ray myself, had a whole bunch of tickets and couldn't go drive for anybody. So I ended up using my whole tax return to pay off old tickets and get my license situated, man. And I ended up going to drive for another company for a year. And then I transitioned to the job where I'm at now.
Okay. And shout out to Brother Andre Hatchett. I live stories like this. I know you're probably aware of him. Brother Andre.
Brother Hatchett, man. What's going on, brother?
Yeah, he doing his thing. Shout out to Brother Lee. I love to see brothers win. We need the support. So you took the job at 13. Now, it seems like you're a bright person. So you're probably looking at, all right, it's $13 an hour, but I know I got room to grow.
Yep. So the funny thing is, when I went to this job, I had a buddy that was already a manager at this job, and he I used to ride in a motorcycle club, so I ride motorcycles and all that kind of stuff. But he watched me take this motorcycle that I bought off of Craigslist, and it was what's called a Street Fighter style. So all the plastics are stripped off of it. It had been wrecked, bent up. And I took this bike and I built it back up to stock, painted it, all this other kind of stuff. And I would ride it with the motorcycle club whenever we would get out and ride. And this is a brother. I actually thought he was a street dude. Drove a Mercedes-Benz, he got all the Jordans, had a nice chain on and stuff like that. And I could never figure out what he did for a living. I was like, what did this dude do? So finally he said, man, I watched you put this bike together. I'm pretty sure you can fix a lot of the equipment that we have over at the plant. And I was like, what are you talking about? And that was my first introduction into manufacturing. So he was supposed to do my interview at this place, but I ended up getting called by someone else. I interviewed and they told me I was overqualified to be a machine operator. But they said, well, we see you have a Class B CDL. Do you mind driving? And I was like, yeah, that's fine. I'll do that. So came in driving, and you have to work in a position for 6 months before you can transition to another one within the company. And I drove for about five months, for about 5 months, a little under 6, and then I got into the maintenance department, and it was a wrap after that. Because I was in my wheelhouse, right? I'm turning wrenches, so.
Okay. So let's talk about that now.
Yeah.
So that's important. You were doing something pretty much just to get in to where you wanted to be.
Yep.
Let's talk about that, because that's 5 to 6 months. I mean, it's a short time, but you're staying focused to get in. You're doing what you need to do to get in. You want to be in maintenance, which is where you're at. How was that 5 to 6 months?
It was, man, by the time I got to that 5th month, I ain't gonna lie, I was like, man, fuck this. But,
that's real.
But it was one of them things where you do what you got to do, man. Like you got business to take care of, man, and then nobody's gonna save you, man. Like you either gonna do it, like they say, piss or get off the pot, So I was if they would have asked me to clean urinals, and if that's what I had to do to get in, man, I would have been the best urinal cleaner that ever came through those doors. But that 5th month, I was ready to go because I already knew what was coming though. So I was ready to jet, but I hung in there and stuck it out.
Shout out to brother Clay Pro. I never understood being overqualified. Like if I apply for the job, then give me the damn job. Goddamn. Hey, how did you handle? Thank you, brother Clay Pro. How did you handle that? Because people say you're overqualified. How do you handle when you hear that? What's your response to that?
Man, as a matter of fact, it was a sister that interviewed me too. It was a sister and maybe like 2 other brothers, and I think a Hispanic cat. And when she told me that, she said, well, I think you're a little too overqualified. And it kind of threw me for a loop. I was like, listen, it got to be better than where I'm at now. So I don't mind being overqualified. I just need to get in and basically whatever y'all need me to do, I'm pretty sure I get it taken care of at a pretty high level. So shout out to her, man. She's not with the company no more, but she got up. She said, well, you have a CDL. Let me go and talk to one of the managers over here in another department. And she walked across the hall and spoke with a guy and actually set me up for an interview with the guy who was in charge of the trucks. And I set up an interview for a different date and went and interviewed with him, and he liked me and I got in.
Okay. Now let's talk about once you got into maintenance. Did you have to do another interview to get into maintenance?
Yeah, man. They actually, this interview was kind of intimidating because these were some pretty sharp guys, right? One of them, older white guy. The other one was a younger white guy, but he was in leadership. So right then I knew, I was like, all right, he's pretty sharp, and I'm pretty sure he's going to try to do the vetting. And the older guy, he wasn't smiling, wasn't really friendly. And they said, well, tell us about your mechanical history. And I took off. So all of the verbiage where you talk about oil viscosity, or you talk about the different type of bearings, linear bearings, two bolt pillow block bearings, all of this different terminology that I had learned in this school that everybody was laughing at, all that shit came right back. And they knew that I wasn't lying because I was able to spit that information out fluidly. And then they asked questions as it relates to what happens out on the production floor. And I was able to answer those questions to the best I could. They asked, how did I feel about criticism? And granted, I had already been criticized the whole time I was going to this school and even other times. And I told them, as long as it's constructive criticism, I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with that. So by the end of the interview, they actually walked me to the car, man, and were friendly and was smiling and stuff, and was, man, we can't wait to get you on the team, and when is your start date? That whole deal. My buddy actually called me later on that day, the one that worked there. And he said, hey, how did the interview go? And I told him the same thing, man. They walked me to the car. He said, they walked you to the car. I was like, yeah, they walked me to the car. And we was talking. He said, man, you got it. He's like, they don't do that shit for nobody. You got it. And shit, he was right. And after that, it was on.
Let me ask you a question, because and maybe I never even thought about this as a topic. I don't know if Brother Gabe thought about the topic, but intra transfer, like, okay, basically you're already within the company, applying for a different position in the same company.
Yep.
And preparing for. Shout out to Uncle Markel. Thank you, Uncle Markel. See you tomorrow, Uncle. But basically, you're working in the company, but you're applying for a new position within the same company.
Right.
How do you get a feel for how to prepare for this sort of interview? Because you're already in the company, right? But you're just applying for a different position in the company. How do you feel for how you get a feel for the questions in the interview?
So excellent question. So, and as I was in. Where I was driving at is considered to be under the sales department, but I would see maintenance guys walk around all the time. And so what I started to doing, I would speak. Hey, what's going on, man? How you doing? Hey, what's going on, man? How you doing? You know, hey, what's going on, brother? You all right? How you doing? And so finally they would be like, you know, hey, they started to speak first, and they didn't know my name. They'd be like, hey, what's your name? Oh yeah, I'm such. I work in sales right now, trying to get into maintenance. At some point, oh, okay. What's your background? You know what I mean? And then we start having conversations. And then, you know, that's kind of how. So I was already doing the legwork. The minute I hit the door, one of the funny things is if you apply for something else, it'll notify your manager anyway. So you have to have that conversation with your current manager and say, hey, man, listen, I appreciate everything you guys are doing for me here. At some point, I'm going to apply for this department, and it's not because I don't like this one or I'm trying to find a way out, but I actually have certifications for doing that, or I actually have a knack for doing that kind of work. So I'm gonna give you my best while I'm here, but I just wanted to kind of get out ahead of it and let you know that at some point I may be transitioning to that other department. And a lot of times, especially being somebody who's in charge now and leading a big team now, you can respect that and you're appreciative that, hey man, at least this guy, at least this guy let me know he didn't just pull the rug from underneath me. So those are some of the things I did before I transitioned to this other department.
That's very, 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 very genius stuff, man. Shout out to Brother Tangeray. Thank you for the super chat. Let me go back to because I want to get back to you introducing yourself to people that you didn't know that was in the department that you wanted to be in.
Yep.
But let's talk about this because you knew that if you apply inside of the company for a new position, your current manager in the sales department, right? That's where you're working, right? Within the sales or trucking or something like that.
Yeah. It was under the sales department.
Sales department, okay. So that manager will be notified. So you set his expectations, letting him know.
Yep.
Yep. I like what I'm doing. But my skill set is in maintenance. This is where I would like to get. And obviously I'm pretty sure that this person would have to give you some kind of letter of recommendation, or they would contact him, the new department, to verify with him. How do you let a manager know that I wanna go to a new department, but I want to do a good job for you so that you can recommend me? Because typically managers want to keep people that work good for them in their same department, right? So how do you prepare for that at the same time? And knowing that you want to leave, but you want to keep the supervisor to give you a good recommendation so that you can leave.
Yeah, man. One of the things that I would tell guys is even now is you want to be one of the folks who shows up every day. You show up every day on time. You put in the work. You're not your moral compass is not in question. Just being upstanding, hardworking guy, man. And I know that sounds kind of cliche, but you'll be surprised. For those who are in leadership, I'm pretty sure y'all know, but you'll be surprised how far that'll take you. Just showing up every day, showing up on time. Doing the things that nobody else wants to do. And in my case, it was taking the routes that nobody wanted to take because it was in the middle of nowhere, or I'm getting ready to head back to the yard, and I get a call on my cell from my boss, and he say, hey, these folks actually their machine is empty. They need you to go and put some drinks in it. And I would literally drive past the plant. Granted, I've been working all day, drive past the plant, turn around and go make that happen. So when you do those kind of things and everybody else doesn't, it puts you in a position to be able to have those conversations because, hey man, I've done everything you asked me to do. I've tried to make sure that I was somebody that you could count on if needed.
Okay.
That's the way that you have those that you build that relationship with your current boss or current person that you answer to be able to get that blessing to move into another department.
Okay. Let me also do this, and Brother Tangeray, I am going to ask that after this question. Whatever, Brother O'Shea Linux, but let me talk to you about this. This is I don't know if you guys caught this, but this is really, I thought Gabe's LinkedIn strategy was pretty good. But I have to say, man, I'm about to demote Gabe to A- after hearing yours because you actually, I mean, people don't know how cerebral this was. You knew that you wanted to go to the department.
Yep.
You start speaking to the guys.
Yep.
Just saying hello, introducing yourself.
Yep.
How did you know how to do that?
Man, it was so I guess it comes from in school. And when I was in middle school and high school, man, I was in ROTC, right? I played football, wrestled. And one of the things that I did was ROTC. My old man was a Vietnam vet and had retired from the military after 30 years. I didn't meet him until I was about 13 years old. And some of the stuff that I learned from him in the short time that I actually got to spend with him was how disciplined he was as it came to the military. Now, granted, he didn't raise me. I just met him and we had a relationship until I was 21 I was 23 when he passed. I think that the getting up in front of people and being able to bark orders and doing that in ROTC, which was really just something that I like doing. It was an easy credit, but I think that kind of built it in me to be able to not be kind of shy or apprehensive around talking to people who I may not necessarily know. So I give an example. As a 13, 14-year-old kid in ROTC, they have ROTC programs from different schools, right? Everybody is on the football field, and as a 13 to 14-year-old kid, your drill instructor walks up and he say, all right, drill your squad or whatever. And so you're in front of all of these other kids that you don't know, and you barking these orders, so you're really kind of sharpening those skills and really not even knowing it. You're sharpening those skills that actually end up helping later on in life. So I didn't have any kind of reservation, especially if somebody kind of make eye contact. I'm walking and they kind of look at me, I look at them. A lot of times, like, hey, how's it going? And if they don't speak, I'll be like, shit, that motherfucker might be racist, but most of the time,
but usually they probably did speak, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, they speak, and they be like, or they will make a joke like, damn man, like I said, I'm 6'3", right? They be like, damn man, we could use you on the Cowboys right now, I'll be like, yeah, they would do stuff like that. So that's what kind of broke the ice. And then I'm pretty sure they get tired of me speaking, like, man, who the hell are you? Why the hell you keep saying, what's up? Yeah. And then they figured out that my buddy was one of the higher ups there, and they were like, "Oh, okay, yeah, man, I heard of you. Oh, okay,
Okay. Shout out to Brother Roscoe. This brother is dropping excellent game right now. He reminds me of an older me. Gabe A. I'll take the A-. Salute to this brother. Every time I wanted a new role or got promoted, I left the organization. Yeah, Gabe was quick to leave a company.
Gabe making that cake though.
Yeah, man, Gabe always looking that nigga leaving everything except for his wife, but anything else, nigga. But let me kind of go back to that because I'm focusing on that was a good strategy, and I'm pretty sure when you know that you're going to get it, because I can tell that you're a long-term planner.
Oh yeah,
your boss, and I can tell that you think things. You probably would have been a pretty good hitman the way you think things out. You know what I mean? So you're probably using the Italian mafia, but you tell your manager what you're trying to do. and you know you're going to have an interview, and you're pretty much setting the tone to find out from these guys, I'm pretty sure, who are already in the department. At some point, you're going to go talk to them. Hey, man, what kind of questions did they ask you on the interview? Did you ever have that discussion?
No, I didn't. I didn't ask. You know what? I take that back. As I had the conversation with what was my current manager, and I knew that I was going to get this opportunity. As it got closer, and the whole time I'm still building relationships with these guys, right? As it got closer, I did ask that question. Hey, man, you know, I got an interview here coming up, you know, in a little bit. You know what? And they would ask, well, who's interviewing you? Well, you know, this guy such and such, and this guy such and such, and I think it's supposed to be another guy such and such. Oh, okay. Well, these two are all right, but this one, man, he's gonna kind of dig into you. So I was like, all right, you know, well, what do I need to know? And a lot of times with mechanic, anybody who worked with mechanics, Gabe probably can tell you because he's worked in manufacturing. They are a different breed, man. They are they're a little quirky sometimes. Meaning, do we really want you playing in our sandbox? You know what I mean? They're real picky about who they vouch for, and they're real picky about who they give information to. So, you know, you make a joke that I should be playing for the Cowboys. Yeah, I probably should. You know, yeah. But as I go through this interview, what are some of the things they're gonna ask? So basically, I would segue it. So if we're having a good conversation, then I would segue into, hey, I need, you know, yeah, we're laughing and stuff, but I need some. Can you give me some insight on how this interview is gonna go, or how these questions may get asked? So it wasn't me just coming out, hey man, I got an interview. What are they gonna ask me? We would always just be kind of joking, or you know, kind of talking, shooting the shit, and then I would say, hey, you know, while the energy is good, that's when I would ask my question.
Okay, cool. So you did that, man. So much game. So let me talk about this. So when you got the job, and you know, because your boy told you, like, you know, you got the job. So
Yep.
how was that? I mean, obviously you moved up since then. So how was that working in that position? I mean, obviously you had been out of mechanics for some time.
Yep.
Okay.
So
Now, how did you adjust to that?
Yeah, so I'll tell people this story. A lot of new mechanics. When I interview them, I'll tell them this story. But I interviewed for it. Everything went good. And with me I was on one side of the facility, and there are these double doors that lead to production lines where all of the machines are. I never went through that door because I never needed to. You know, I was always on the sales side. I would get my truck, get my keys, get my little tablet type of thing, and I would go around and pick up, you know, my cases of soda in my truck and leave. When I first got into this role, man, I walked through those double doors and I saw all of the conveyors, and I heard all of these different alarms going off, and I see people walking fast in a million different directions, and I said, damn, what the hell I done got myself into? You know, that was the first thing I thought. But that other side kicked in and was like, shit, you're here now. You know, it's time to get it in. And I like I said, mechanics are kind of quirky. I was talking to all of the guys that were on first shift. I got hired in as an overnight guy, you know, on night shift, and they're even more weirder, right? So, you know, everybody's vamping, what we call vamping, you know, the third shift crew. And so I had to try and get up to speed with these guys all over again. And they weren't necessarily that open with information, but the way I broke through is I did all the stuff nobody else wanted to do. So nobody else wanted to go around and do oil changes on the gearboxes. I did it. Nobody else wanted to take apart these dirty conveyors and, you know, replace them, and I did it. Or, you know, and as I did that, I was kind of learning the whole time. Those guys kind of opened up and was like, hey, man, you know, I got this project, you know, do you mind helping? I got you. I would get in and help. I would see a guy welding, and I was like, hey, man, how did you learn how to do that? I learned at another job. Okay, if you ever get time, man, you mind showing me? Man, I'll show you right now. And then, you know, that's how I kind of start cutting my teeth in that field.
Okay, so let me kind of go back and recap. So at first you're overwhelmed a little bit.
Yep.
and you kind of really didn't know what was going on. But some of the things you started doing is volunteering for things that nobody wanted to do. How long did it take you to pick up on the fact that certain people didn't want to do certain things?
Shit, quick. Because you give it to the entry level guy, right? You give it to the guy, the new guy. Most guys who are real seasoned in doing this kind of work, they have a chip on their shoulder. So a lot of times they'll get asked to do something, and they may have some kind of pushback. They're like, "Hey, listen, I'm not an entry level guy. I've been doing this shit for 20 years. You probably got to find somebody else to do that." You know, the guys who are that companies are glad to have. That's how mechanics are. A lot of them. For me, I was like, "Shit, where is that?" You know, and and you know, they saw this over and over and over again, and then they began to ask for help. They was like, "He's consistent. He's always here. He's not calling in. He's not getting in no shit. He really just here trying to learn," and they can respect that. So everybody kind of opened up.
Now let me ask you a question. When you need to get caught up on certain things,
Yeah.
were some of the things overwhelming? I mean, obviously, you know, being on the production line,
Yeah.
did you have sometimes maybe some things was hard to understand, things like that?
A few times, but it was only because I hadn't been in that particular field before. But one of the guys that I actually still talk to this day, and was an older white guy, and I wish I could call his name, but
Right.
he was a mentor to me, man. Old white dude. I actually thought he was racist, real rough around the edges. Wasn't friendly at all. He would just give me all of the bullshit to do. And as I did these things, anything I didn't understand, I was working overnight. He was coming in on first shift. I would get with him. Hey, you know, this didn't get done last night because I'm not 100% sure how to do it. Oh man, let's go look at it. You know, we go over there, check it out. This is what you want to do. Boom, boom, boom. All right, got it. And after doing that so many times, shit, he would come in to work. The production line would be running, or it would be what we call pre-flighted, meaning bottles are on the line, the filler bowls are charged up, all of the coders that actually, you know, if you drink anything out of a bottle, they have codes on it. The machines that put the codes on there, you have what's called MEK or makeup fluid, and then you have ink inside of those machines. And it's hell to clean those heads, and it's hell to get those set up right. But I would do all of that work overnight. And when he came in, shit, he would come in, kind of walk the line, everything would run, and he'd be like, "Well, shit, I'm going to have coffee." You know what I mean? So anything I didn't know, I actually got to the point where I could call him in the middle of the night, and he would wake up and answer any questions I had if I needed to.
Wow.
And I'm still friends with that guy to this day. He probably about a 60, probably late 60s, old white dude.
Does he still work there?
No, he retired after 40 years, man. He had worked there for 41 years and had 2 hip replacements, and his back was bothering him, and he ended up retiring.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So wow, man, that's just amazing, man. And guys, let me ask you this. And guys, if you're here in the building, make sure that you like the video. And again, thank you for all the brothers supporting the by Super Chat. I know a lot of guys talk about they like these kind of shows. You know, share the shows, support the shows, and things like this. I'm getting emails from a lot of brothers. I will continue to do this, especially during the coronavirus breakout, and I'm gonna talk about that. So if you're a brother, you want to do shows like this, email me. I am responding to them, and I will get you in. I'm trying to do at least one of these per day during the coronavirus season if I get the time. Now, I guess one of my brothers, Tangeray, thank you again for Super Chat, brother. He wanted to know, right now, during business season, during what we have this a pandemic going around the world, how is your company handling the coronavirus situation?
Yeah, man. So what we're doing is having a lot of meetings, but a lot of that stuff, a lot of that information comes from the CDC, right? So our company is in constant communication with the Center for Disease Control, really staying on top of it, and me being somebody who's actually in charge of a large group of folks, I'm really in tune with what corporate is handing down to everybody. So we're handling it pretty good, man. I know we're reducing the size of meetings and stuff like that, and everybody's kind of keeping everybody's kind of keeping their space. We're doing a lot of WebEx meetings because this week, things are kind of increasing as far as people that are infected, and then of course you have these constant news streams. So we're really trying to get out ahead of it. They were already having these conversations weeks in advance to try and figure out what we can do to keep our folks safe, right? So a lot of WebExes, increased number of meetings, and then really trying to get that information out to our team members so that nobody panics and nobody freaks out. I work for a pretty well-known brand. I won't mention it, but I work for a really, really well-known brand. We're probably in everybody who's watching it. We're probably in your households. And all it takes for one person is to put a lie out on social media, right? And then it'll be on CNN or it'll be on, MSNBC or something. So really trying to get out in front of the folks and give them clear and accurate information, and really explaining to them how important it is that this is not taken as a joke, that take care of the business that is taking care of you right now. So that's how we're handling it. But it's really organized, it's really streamlined, and it's really a lot of information that we have to kind of break down in a layman's term and give to our team members.
Okay. And again, shout out to Uncle Tony D, always supporting $49.99. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for all the brothers that's been supporting my super chat today on the show. Shout out to Mr. Benevolent. Let me ask you this, because now you were working. Good brother. Good to see you, brother Reggie. You were working in this particular industry, but in this new job. Now you're a manager. Talk about going from the production floor, learning the job. How do you go from there to management?
Yeah, man. It happened so fast, bro. So if you think about it, with Kobe Bryant just passed, and I remember they showed the video where he had the flu and he was playing in this game, and he had his hands on his knees and his nose was red, and he was kind of, you could see him kind of breathing hard. You know what I'm talking about? He was breathing hard and he was kind of licking his lips, and you could tell he was sick, man. But that's the way I felt every damn day. So I was a maintenance mechanic, was doing that. I moved into being a maintenance planner because they had to have an SME, somebody who really understood machines, to be able to break this down to where it would be easy to train the operators, right? So I moved into the maintenance planning department, kicked ass there, and they said, hey, how do you feel about coming back out to the floor and really putting down on paper whatever you did overnight to pre-flight this line or to get this line ready for first shift to come in, because since you left, it's been struggling. I went back out, did that, put it into PowerPoints, and then laminated it, put it in a 3-ring binder, put it back out. And they were like, damn, this guy is really, he's pretty talented, right? Because I was able to kind of merge the two, having a mechanical background and then being able to use the skill that I used to use when I was, 15, 16 years old, making album covers, and merge them together to put together standard work. That's actually a skill set of a production supervisor. So I was offered the position, and I had maxed out. I was getting these raises, and I was actually maxing out as a maintenance planner. So went out to the floor as a production supervisor, and now I'm merging all three of them. The leading people piece, which I learned as a maintenance planner, because we would do these where the production line would go down and you would have to build a plan for what all of these people do. So I learned that skill as a maintenance planner. So the mechanical background, the being able to herd cats, I know you hear that term, herding cats, being able to get a bunch of people together and being able to delegate tasks and then double back and make sure it's done, and then go above and beyond and send out a report to plant leadership when they didn't ask for it, right?
Okay, let's stop right there. Right there.
Yep.
Send out a report when they didn't ask for it. How did you know how to do that?
So the skill I had learned, remember, it goes back to making those CD covers. But the skill, I knew that it was information that they wanted to know because they would ask me in passing, or we have meetings once a month where we would then show them, hey, this is what we've been working on this month, or this is where we at as it relates to 5S or TPM, what we call total productive maintenance. So we have a meeting every month, and they want to know this information. Why not send it to them once a week with pictures, with arrows, with before and after pictures, right? With operators smiling, with operators having their personal protective equipment on and actually, you know, in the weeds doing the work, right? And then showing the before and after. That's what in my head I was like, yeah, this will work. So I did it once, and my boss at the time, he took it and was like, man, this is great. Everybody do it. So then everybody was like, hey, can you send me the template for that report that you sent out? So it was just me kind of putting two and two together. I was like, you know, they have a lot of questions when we had this meeting once a month. I'm gonna go on and get out ahead of it, and I'm gonna just blast one out one time and see how it go. And it caught fire after that.
Okay. Now that's interesting. Using your previous skill,
Yep.
merging it to this skill to get ahead.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. Let me go ahead and shout out another brother, a few brothers here. Shout out to brother Marcus Love. This man's intelligent and talented enough to start his own business. Brother Tangeray, that feeling is growth is never easy. It hurts. Much respect for dropping the knowledge.
Yep.
And Nick Penn for thinking black men. Thank you. And Uncle Tony, Frederick Johnson, keep the streams. Say love the content. And Uncle Tony, you know, he go come through with the big 5-0. Thank you, brothers, for the support. I really appreciate it. Now let's talk about. Obviously, you moved up to management now, and
Yep.
you've left the production. How do you improve your day-to-day action or day-to-day interaction with the employees to get to max? Because now you're talking about not only your own productivity, but getting productivity out of people who may be unmotivated,
Yep.
who may be new, job training and stuff like that. All of those different obstacles of an employee. How do you learn skills on the job to perfect the craft as you're doing now? How do you continue to do so?
So, damn good question. So if you remember a while back, I put in a super chat where I said I worked for this young brother who was kind of apprehensive about having a big brother who's older than him and way bigger than he is. He was kind of apprehensive about having me on his team. I could tell, he never said it, but I could tell by his mannerism. He's a guy who went to HBCU. I think he went to Prairie View. You know, he's from a small town, and so he had put in all this work. He's a young manager. He's actually still there. I talked to him yesterday. I could tell he was apprehensive. He never said it, but he's one of those guys who real cut and dry, real straight to the point, and he's one of the people that everybody ran from, right? They was like, man, I don't want to work for him, and I heard he's an asshole. So as I became a production supervisor, I learned how to manage from watching his style and then putting my own twist onto it. So to give you an idea, my managing style is mentorship, but a lot of times if something is not getting done, the same energy that I walk by and fist bump you with during the day is the same energy that I write your ass up with. So it's not, you know, it's one of them things where you really break it down to them. You tell them, hey man, listen, we already know what we got to do. This is what you did. This is the expectation. All I need you to do is execute, man. I'll do the rest as far as growing you if that's what you want to do. But I'll we gotta get this. We gotta set this tone right now because that's not gonna that's not gonna be good for either one of us.
How do you pick? And a shout out to I don't know if you heard of brother Black Heights. You ever heard of this guy, Antoine Wade?
Yep.
You watch any of his content?
I've never watched any of his content. I've heard you talk about him though, Black Heights.
Black Heights is Antoine Wade, Georgia Tech MBA, and he specializes in management content. And he goes into really, really great detail. He's the only person that I know besides you that really talks about this. So check him out if you guys want to.
You said Antoine Wade?
Antoine Wade, Black Heights, right? It's an awesome channel. I don't think there's anybody that I know. I mean, that's in this space. Guy goes all over the world working for companies managing. Definitely, if you're interested in management as a career, this is definitely a brother. And I've only heard you and him mention this. He talks about different leadership styles.
Yeah.
And so let me ask you this, because I mean, I know there are many. How do you pick the leadership style of a mentorship? Why was that style important for you?
You know what? Honestly, I had a lot of brothers on my team. I have a lot of brothers on my team who wouldn't last anywhere else, man. So you know, the woke side of me really wanted to break through to these brothers and really let them know that, hey, you really got a grand opportunity to learn a lot of different things, and you probably should take advantage of it. But there are certain conversations that you can't have, right? I can't tell you, hey man, you black, so I'm gonna do everything for you. It's more or less, hey man, you got a real opportunity, or you know, sometimes you got to speak to them on their level, right? I think I was telling you, if you look, you know, you can see I'm tatted up, right? So you can consider me being a Ray Ray in my younger years, right? I'm 36 now, but you can consider me being a Ray Ray. So I know how to get through to a lot of these brothers, man, and some of them it registers and they're like, damn, you know, okay, you know, and they have a million questions after that, man. How did you learn how to speak like this? How did you, you know, that's what I like. But then you have some that's like, I don't care where you come from, man. You a snitch, you the boss, you a snitch, and that's what it is, you know. So the main thing is getting them the hell out of the way. First of all, you got to go because you don't even, you don't want to do this. Got to get you out of the way.
That's right.
Get another brother in here who really want to learn, man.
I know that's right.
Yeah, so that's how my leadership style came about, is because I know that if you get under leadership with somebody else, your ass gonna be out of a job and you're really gonna be behind on your child support. Versus, versus getting with me, it's gonna hurt. I'm gonna stretch you. I'm gonna put a lot of stuff on your plate. I'm gonna put some of the stuff that I can do. I'm gonna put some of it on your plate, really, so you can go ahead and cut those teeth, so I can move you up into leadership. If that's not something that you want to do, that's fine. Let me know what you do want to do. Mm-hmm. I can kind of tailor a program to where you want to go. We can work that program, get you out of the business, and get somebody else in here that wants to do it. But at the end of the day, it's not going to be you come in late every day and you just kind of casually just I'm just here because I have to be the face of that when I report to corporate. I have to get up there and say, hey, this is why my line is struggling, or hey, this is why I'm coming in, in the red on overtime, or hey, this is why I can't keep my budget, or I keep blowing the budget every month. No, we're not gonna do that, man. I'm not gonna put you in that situation, and you damn sure not gonna put me in it. So if I do have to have that conversation, trust me, that conversation will be followed with, or my statements will be followed with. In order to correct this, we've started implementing corrective actions, and in the spirit of transparency, I see this person kind of washing himself out of the business, but I am working with someone else who's interested in doing these things, and we should have him up to speed in about 90 days.
Okay. No. And shout out to brother Tangeray, dropping the knowledge tonight, O'Shea. Guys, when we want this content, we have to pay for it. Once O'Shea understands that he can make more money with this content, then he will push this more. So if you like it, donate, please, brothers. Let me just say this. It's funny. I was talking to brother Rent Turner, right? And I had me and him. He had reached out to me. I don't know why I was missing him. We were missing each other because I was being a nigga. I was talking to him. We had a really good conversation before. I said, you know what, brother? As much as I like doing fuckery and nigga shit on Black YouTube, I said these shows are really my passion, and that passion is to bring the talented African American men together, Black men, wherever you are, to share best practice. And I said, you know what? It don't matter if we only get 30 or 40 people or 50 people, whatever we get in the chat. If as long as many I can do it, I'm gonna keep doing it, no matter if it's $1 in the super chat or not, because I know our people need it. And I know for you, we were talking about working with Black men. A lot of brothers really just don't understand the opportunities that they have, and that's something that I really preach on my channel. Can you speak more about that and just let the people know? A lot of brothers that maybe a little down, or maybe kind of thinking that they can't succeed or do stuff. What opportunities do these Black men have to be successful?
Man, the opportunities are all around you, man. You just have to. One of the first things to do is you have to take that look in the mirror and really be honest with yourself, man. That's not something that anybody can do for you. You have to really be honest with yourself. The situation that you're in, what did I do to end up in this situation, right? How did I fuck up to end up here? That's the very first thing. Once you can have that conversation with yourself and you can be real with yourself and you don't make excuses for yourself, because if you are, you're the only one who's doing it. Nobody else is gonna give a shit. They're gonna smash the gas on you every chance they get. So you have to do that self-check first. Once you can do that, then you start looking around and see if there are any opportunities for you to grow in the field that you're in, right? For the immediate, right. This is just for the immediate. Is there opportunity for me to grow here? If there's not, then you start thinking about what is it that I could do every day that I get some kind of enjoyment out of, that I don't mind learning. I'm pretty sure people are like, I want to own my own business. All right, well, you ain't got money right now. You got to earn something to get there. All right. So one of the things you want to do is the self-check, be honest with yourself, figure out what you like doing and something that you could get up, you can stand getting up every day, going in and doing, and then start building a plan and working it. A lot of people write out their plan, right? They write out their plan. For me, from a high level, I didn't need to write it out. I knew what boxes I needed to check to kind of get in the environment that I needed to be in. And then from there, I really started making a conscious effort to do other things, fixing credit, buying a home, different stuff like that. But I was often asked, and I think I sent you a screenshot of it, when I was speaking to a large group at work. I often get asked, because leadership even asked, like, man, how did you move? We saw you move through the business fast, and that's exactly what we want. But how would you explain that to the operators? And I would keep getting asked this question, and I had never really thought about it. I was like, shit, I was just working my program that I had in my head. But I came up with what helped me be successful, and I call it the AAA theory. So the AAA theory are these three things you need to be able to check to make sure that you're either in the right business or that you, if you get into the right business, you can be successful. So the first one is aptitude. Aptitude, what are you naturally good at and that you actually enjoy? Something that comes easy to you. The next one is autonomy. Being able to do that without having to be micromanaged. Being able to take care of business if the supervisor's not there. Being able to know what you're supposed to do, learn the hell out of it, and then be able to go a step beyond. And then the last one is ambition. So aptitude, autonomy, and then ambition. If you can cover those three things in something that you enjoy doing, you'll run circles around people because you have a natural knack for it. You know what I mean? Now, if you got a natural knack for stealing, then you may need to go be a repo man or a locksmith or something. But whatever you have a natural aptitude for, figure out how to monetize it. You know what I mean? So if you can check those three boxes in an industry, more than likely you'll be pretty successful at it.
Brother Reggie, now this thing is worth watching. Thank you very much. Man, brother, I think you didn't gave enough knowledge to save the entire Dallas, Texas. You might be able to help my brother cut to the chase out there.
Man, tell him reach out, man. If you need me, man, tell him reach out. But it's a lot of us out there that need it, bro. Man.
No. He out there in the Dallas area. So, man, this was, I knew it was going to be good, but I got to get you to come back. Me, you, and Gabe. Now, also, wait, Brother Gabe, hold on. Well, maybe, Brother Gabe, do you want to come on right now and talk to the brother? Have you noticed differences in brothers' respect levels between yourself and white counterparts? Do brothers try to get stuff past you?
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about that. And Brother Gabe, if you had time, you mind Brother Gabe coming on?
No, man. I got shit. I'm off. I'm hanging close to my work phone just because of this this virus thing. Okay. But yeah, we're good.
Okay, Brother Gabe, if you want to, jump in for a few minutes, man, we can definitely do something. Thank you, Brother Josh. Quick, go ahead and answer that one, brother.
Oh yeah, man. Definitely so, and it kind of goes back to what I was talking about at first, man. Instead of them, the reason why I was able to support that young brother that nobody liked because he drove real hard is because of the really being woke piece. I understood the bigger picture. I'm not going to do anything to put this brother in a position to fail. Whether I don't necessarily like every decision he come up with, I'm not going to be the one to push back on it because that's his idea. My job is to figure out how to help him be successful. Most of us don't necessarily have that viewpoint. So absolutely, brothers do that. You have a supervisor from another demographic, and they'll kind of shook and jive and yes, you know how it go. I come in and they seeing tattoos and they kind of like, oh, he kind of laid back, he cool or whatever. But the look on their face when you issue that first write up, normally change it real quick.
Oh man, that's something that I really understood. I mean, obviously, in my own small business, even working with blacks or just I've been in Uganda for the last 2 months.
Yeah, got to bust that ass.
Yeah, man. Unfortunately, you have to when it comes to dealing with black people, you have to go ahead and let these niggas know what's cracking.
Yeah, off top.
You gotta crack the whip on these niggas, man. It's something that, especially if you were, I noticed this also. I know you're a younger man at 36, and I know also I don't know if you've experienced this, but I do know that if an employee is older than you and also black, sometimes that person can be a problem because they feel like, why you, not me? I don't know if you've experienced that.
No, man, I hadn't, because as I've just kind of how I was brought up, I was promoted so fast, man, and I think we were talking about it, 6 positions in 6 years. I grew really, really, really fast, man. So all the time, I would always be, hey, what's going on, Mr. Johnson? Hey, what's going on, Mr. Reggie? Hey, what's going on, Mr. Gerald? It was always Mr. Such and such. So when I got into a position of leadership, I never got that bad energy from them like that. Oddly enough, I never got. But the guy who used to be my boss, and I'm now his, he's older than me, and he looked like he had some smoke button. Should I write his ass up too? So I mean, it's
Oh my goodness, yeah, I never shout out to Cousin the Chase. This brother look like Shaq with the mind that you gave me. Yeah, this is a good brother, man. He out there in the Dallas area too.
Hey, that guy right there that just commented, what changed my life is something that Gary Vee said, believe it or not.
Whoa, really?
Absolutely. So Gary Vee and Charlamagne had this interview. This is when I had social media. I don't even have social media right now. Gary Vee and Charlamagne did this interview. And at the end, the last 4 seconds of it, and I shared this link. I literally just shared it yesterday and the day before with some people on my team, 2 guys that are getting into leadership. Funny he says that. So on this video with Charlamagne and Gary Vee, the last part of that video, he talked about Prince being a janitor just to get studio time. And he says, are you willing to be a janitor? He said, all these guys want to be rappers. Are you willing to, sell newspapers, or are you willing to be a janitor? And the part that changed my life is he said, are you willing to put in the work, and are you willing to bleed from your eyes? That's actually what I was talking about in that screenshot I sent you. Are you willing to bleed from your eyes to be successful? And I told the whole company that. You saw it on the picture. I was talking to a lot of people. I told the whole company that part of the video really changed my life, because it made me give myself a self-check and say, hey, if you want to be successful, are you willing to bleed from your eyes? And I thought about how painful it'll be to bleed from my damn eyes. And I said, hell yeah, and took off running, and haven't stopped since.
Okay. Definitely. Shout out to brother Project Mayhem. Been a good long while since I seen the brother. What's good, Doc O'Shea? It's been a while. My little cousin wants to be an auto mechanic. I'm definitely sending him the stream. Yep. Thank you. And then Tangeray O'Shea, he has moved up super fast. How has he used his appearance to his advantage? Big, sharp dress, sharp and deep voice. Yeah, because you're a tall guy, 6'3". Yep. How do you use that? Obviously, because sometimes a lot of black men that are big or tall, people might think that feel threatened by them. How do you do that to still move up?
Yeah, so being personable, man. Being personable and being approachable. So I'll give you an example. Just like I said, people would say, hey man, we could really use you on the Cowboys right now. Ha. And I would kind of respond, have like a sharp response. Nothing smart, but just being quick on my feet and respond, right? But still in good spirit. If I saw that one of my female counterparts was struggling carrying something right, I would offer to carry it for them. I get asked to get stuff off the top shelf at the store all the time, so that's not uncommon. But if I would see one of my female counterparts carrying something heavy, I would help them with it. Or if I saw other maintenance guys or people in other departments even struggling with something heavy or struggling, trying to get something down, I would kind of chime in and help. And a lot of times they would introduce themselves and I would introduce myself. So you do that enough, eventually people kind of, they'll see that, yeah, you're a massive guy and you're a real big guy, but they'll say at least he's willing to offer a helping hand. Also, another thing is I understood what my appearance meant, right? Big dude, full beard, tattoos, right? And I still to this day catch people looking at it during meetings. I'm talking to guys in corporate and I'll see if normally I wear a polo shirt and I'll see them kind of looking at the tattoos. But another thing that I did was know the shit out of what my wheelhouse is. Know exactly. So I'll give an example. If I have a meeting, we have a meeting that's about 30, 40 people sitting around. Most guys would come in and they would have high level information. They talk about it. And then sometimes leadership would have to ask more questions to get it out of them. So the whole time I sat in these meetings, as I first started to be a part of them, I would see that they keep having to ask these questions. I would go into the meeting and I would know every single thing about what's happening on my production line. I'll give you an example. If my efficiency is set at 85 and I'm coming in below 85%, I would come in and I would say line such and such efficiency is this number. We've produced X amount of cases for the day. My top downtime was this machine. It was actually a proximity sensor that had actually been moved during the CIP or the cleaning in place process. We realigned it and created a center line to make sure that doesn't happen again. We trended in the green the last hour we ran well over goal. We should be green as a 1400. You know what I mean? Oddly enough, the brothers would be kind of sitting back like, man, this motherfucker here. But I did that enough to where it made everybody else step their game up. So now if you sit in a meeting, everybody does that. But I started doing it first because I knew the questions that were coming behind it if my efficiency wasn't up to speed. Plus, having a mechanical background, I understand that kind of stuff really quick. If a machine is struggling, I understand why, or I know how to troubleshoot it and understand why.
Wow. Okay. Gabe, hey, I understood what my appearance meant. Self-realization is powerful and rare.
Yep.
You know what? I mean, man, you're just basically, hold on a second. Gabe is awesome. I think, but this is from a different perspective. Being that you're in a similar field that Gabe was in, but a manufacturing, and kind of brought some light to it. I would definitely like to come in because Gabe is the author of this kind of theory of the Hall of Game. I kind of make the names up, but then Brother Gabe came in and really took it to another level. And then brothers like yourself have come in and basically put this. I would like to see if we can get Gabe, you, Maurice, Andre on tomorrow. Definitely. And come with a topic, and that way we can get something going on. Brother Tony D, thank you for being in here. Tangeray, we talk about analytics tomorrow. I think a lot of times that's good. Like analytics is something even on social media that we use. I study. Yeah. We can maybe do a show about how you can use analytics to, I don't know, change behavior, change whatever. You come up with a topic about analytics. I'm pretty sure Gabe knows about it.
Oh, so yeah.
Go ahead.
So basically, you want to have metrics. You want to have metrics where you measure the things that are important to you, right? Once you have those metrics, so for you, it may be, how many viewers you get per video, right?
Right.
And basically, you want to have something that you can track. The information that you can track is called a metric, and you put it on either like a run chart or you put it in the form of a graph, and then you take that information and you figure out how to increase it and take it to the next level. And there's a lot of tools to do that. You talk about what we call RCCM, root cause countermeasures, or there's a lot of different tools you can use, man. You just figure out what's important to you as it relates to your channel, how to track that information, And then there's a lot of tools through either Lean Six Sigma or Total Productive Maintenance, and you figure out how to take it to the next level. There's a science to it, man. Matter of fact, all of these certificates on the back wall, man, those are different projects that I've done as it relates to efficiency of machines. So I'm actually certified in that what you're talking about.
Yeah, okay. Good to see our brother Harry Mingo, man. Like the biggest supporter of all time on the channel. Good to see that brother here in the building. He's been all through. He's a mechanic too, if I'm not mistaken,
Nice.
in the city of New York City Transit Authority.
Nice.
Been doing that for 25, 30 years. So yeah, he's been doing that. And so basically, good to see brother Harry Mingo. So let's try to get together and talk about something like analytics. I'll connect everybody by email. Gabe, if you're down, he says yes. Lean. I got my green belt. What is a green belt?
Yeah, so you have a couple of different belts. Entry level is a white belt. Next up after that is a yellow belt. Then you have a green belt. A green belt, you have to do a project where you actually you make an improvement that actually gives a certain amount of dollars back to the company. Then you have a black belt where you're actually a coach, right? Where you training people. You're training team members how to think about a different way to think about savings in the business, so that you can give money back. And then you have what's called a master black belt. Normally, master black belts, all of them are over 100K if they work for a company that's worth a damn. If you're a master black belt, you have a real high level of understanding of statistics, and you know how to go and data mine and use that information to make improvements in the business. So green belts are Six Sigma certifications, Lean Six Sigma certifications that you can get that teach you how to remove waste out of processes to be able to help businesses operate at a lower cost, or you're able to give money back to the business. You're able to save money for the business.
Okay. Awesome. So, I do thank you. I've connected everybody by email. So you have Gabe's email now. Tangeray. So basically, I've just received a message from brother Gabe. Yeah. He's excited and fired up. So tomorrow we'll come up with a time and we'll talk about analytics. And obviously, I don't work in the same analytics that you do, but I can talk about how I use my analytics here on YouTube. And I think a lot of brothers need to pay attention to the numbers, because in any industry you can judge people all the time by the numbers, right? And thank you, brother Tangeray, for being here. Brother, listen to this one. This right here is an interesting super chat. I had to stop watching this on TV and get on my phone just to send this money. Great show. I love the business talk and the travel talk. Thank you, brother Ted. And keep it techie, brother. If you want to get in and on it tomorrow, let me send my brother Keep It Techie to come on here. Send him an invite. You guys in there as well. How can I forget about brother Keep It Techie? So, Techie, basically, definitely would love to have you. I don't know if you're busy tomorrow, but he did it. Keep It Techie did a hell of a show for us the other day. I don't know if you watched it, but definitely had a similar story to yours. How he went from the salary to his $100,000 a year job.
Yeah.
It is so good to see African American men coming out and sharing their story on things like that.
Oh yeah.
People were asking, do you have a YouTube channel and all that stuff? Do you have a podcast or?
No, man, I don't have a YouTube channel. I don't have a podcast, anything like that. I actually went out on a limb just by getting face to face, but I also think it's important that for brothers to be able to see, the tattoos and stuff like that, and to be able to see the disposition when you're talking about this kind of stuff, because it's different than just listening to it. So I don't have a YouTube channel, don't have a podcast, but if that's something that people are interested in, man, I may need to take that into consideration and probably put something together,
Okay, and we'll definitely. I'm pretty sure I can guarantee you brothers will listen. So, thank you for coming on today, brother. Thank you also, brother Gabe, for sticking with the content with us, giving us a content strategy over here, brother Keep It Techie, brothers like brother Maurice, brother Tony, brother Harry Mingo, Nick, Tangeray, guys, brother Marcus Love, who's been with us in this time for forever. Thank you guys for really pushing this kind of content and stuff like that. Brother Kenny, thank you so much. So we'll come back with it tomorrow. I'm pretty sure we're all going to learn a lot about analytics, how to read them, how to do it. And one of the things I thank you, brother, for just believing in the brothers and wanting to come in and talk about this thing, and hopefully we can, we keep building brothers into the knowledge, brother. Any last words you got?
No, man. I appreciate you bringing me on, man. I wanted to reach out because I think it's important for a lot of us to have these conversations, right? I think given our history, a lot of us, of course, aren't as up to speed as it relates to trying to reach out and help each other, or like you said, even being able to just speak to each other. But I will say that I'm starting to see more and more, especially way more than when I was in high school, but you will run across a brother and they'll say, "Hey, what's going on, brother? How you doing? All right, what's going on, brother? You good?" And being able to have those conversations. But the main three things, of course, remember aptitude, what you're naturally good at, how do you monetize that and be able to harness that as a career until you build enough to start your own career. Autonomy, doing the right thing when nobody's around, and being able to take initiative and get ahead of stuff and doing it right and clean, right, and neat. And then the last one is that ambition piece. So aptitude, autonomy, and ambition, harnessing those three to be able to change your life, man.
All right. And you guys heard it first from the brother. I definitely appreciate you. And definitely we're going to see all you guys tomorrow on an analytics stream. I'm excited about the topic because I think I'm going to learn a lot from it. And again, thank you again, brother. And you dropped a lot of knowledge on us tonight. I'm definitely going to send you an email. Thanking you again. Appreciate you, family.
Absolutely. I appreciate it, man. Y'all be cool, brother.
Peace, family.
All right.